To allow others to go through pain is often judged, but sometimes can be the greatest act of love. And I'm going to explain why. We live in a society that has conditioned us to shelter everything and everyone from pain. We don't want our kids to experience failure. We don't want people to feel hurt. We walk on eggshells to not offend anybody. We mind our words, and instead of creating a happier world, we're creating a more incompetent and incapable world to some degree. Instead of people recognizing that the source of their joy and their misery comes from within, now everyone's paying attention and feeling that because you said this word, because you called me this name, because you did this to me, I am miserable. So even though the pain is on the inside, we think that what needs to be fixed is outside. So allowing somebody else to feel their pain when done from a conscious perspective, in a conscious manner, can be the greatest gift you can give them. I'm going to tell you a story. I'm going to try to make it very concise about my mother. And a couple of years ago, she was going through a very rough time. She had fibromyalgia, which, if you don't know what it is a chronic illness where, in her case, it led to so much pain in the joints, in the muscles, that sometimes it was excruciating to move. So she will spend some days, sometimes weeks, in her bed because moving felt extremely painful. And at the time she spent a lot of money on magnet therapy, on a lot of things. Every day she was going, and there were a few things that could soothe her pain for a little bit, but it would come back and come back and come back. Physically she was very ill. Emotionally she had a lot of pain around the divorce with my father, and she had not moved past that. Financially she made a lot of decisions that were rather unconscious. Later on she shared with me that she was suicidal, and she had told herself, I'm going to live until this day, so I'm going to waste all my money before that day comes. Fortunately the day came, and she quite literally couldn't pull the trigger. But this is to create a context of where she was at. A lot of pain, a lot of misery, a lot of resentment. She felt that my sisters and myself and my father and everybody was better off without her. She assumed that because she didn't have money anymore, because she was sick, that nobody wanted her around. So this became self-fulfilling prophecies, because the more that she judged us and resent that we were happy, the more difficult it was for us to be in connection with her. We would go to visit her and she would be complaining about life, about my father, about many things. So we didn't want to spend too much time with her, which proved her like, oh, of course they don't want it because now I'm in a bad place. There came a point where she didn't have money to afford food, where a lot of her family was helping to take care of her. And living in Colombia, the currency, in contrast to the dollar or to the Canadian currencies, is like what you earn in a month in Colombia, in Canada very easily you can earn in a day, in less than that, and live a simple life. So there was this bitterness in her that her children, now grown up, had good jobs, were earning decent money, and that we were not taking care of her. And in a conversation with my sisters, one day I told them, I said, for you or for me, it won't take much to actually help mom, to feed her for the rest of her life. But I said, but to feed her right now that she's so resentful and so grumpy would be a disservice for her, because she has not made the decision, like she has not gone through enough pain. Even though she's gone through a lot of pain, it has not been enough pain for her to say something must change. Not something should change or something could change, but something must change. And I said, she has not touched rock bottom. And if we take care of her now, financially, sure, her belly will be full, but she will die a miserable woman, because she's very capable and she's gonna die resentful, sick, with a lot of bitterness around life, around herself, around many things. So I told them, do not send her any money. Unless she asks for it, because she also wouldn't ask. She would just complain and expect for people to provide for her. And I said, she needs to face humility. Let her ego aside. Learn to ask if she needs for something. And I said, if she asks, give strictly what is necessary. And if she doesn't ask, do not offer, no matter how much she complains, because otherwise you are rewarding complaining behavior. And then she's going to learn that when I complain about life, when I'm resentful, life provides for me. And that's a very, very ugly thing to be anchored in a person's mind. It was very difficult for all of us. At some points I questioned, is this the right thing? But a deep knowing within me felt that this is really, really what the way we need to approach this situation. Fortunately, I say fortunately right now, but it took a couple of months for her to reach a point of utter desperation, where one day on the phone she said, I am desperate. I'm going every night to bed praying that I don't wake up. Like, I don't want to live anymore. Like, something needs to change. I'm tired of living like this. I cannot continue like this. It is not okay. And in that moment, I felt that she had reached rock bottom. In that moment, I said, Mom, I had an invitation for you that goes against your... She was part of this Christian cult. I call it a cult. She will differ with me, but I said, there's something that goes against what you're being taught, which in Colombia, the church teaches you that everything that has to do with ancestral wisdom or shamanic traditions is witchcraft, is dealing with the devil. Of course, they will say that because it will not serve them, that somebody else has deeper wisdom and in a way that is less forceful and dogmatic than their own version of it. Anyways, I said, Mom, I have something that may help you, but it may require that you do something that is outside of what you've been taught in that group that you're a part of. She thought about it, but the point of pain and desperation was so big that she said, yes, okay, I'm gonna do it. So I told her, all right, there's this thing called ayahuasca. You know, I used to drink so much, I used to take drugs, I used to do all these things, and have you noticed that there's been a big change in me? She was like, yeah. She agreed, she could see it. She said, well, you know, it was because I drank this medicine, it comes from the jungle, this is what happened. I shared my experience with her. And she felt inspired, and she said, okay, all right, sounds good. I called my sister and I said, Vero, please send my mom this amount of money. I'm gonna pay for her to attend the ceremony, for her to pay for the transportation there, and for a whole month of her eating clean, vegan, organic, healthy food, which in Colombia can be quite expensive. So next day my mom called me, she's very appreciative. Thank you, I just received the money from your sister. And I thought, yes, she's going in 1 month to ceremony. A week later she calls me, and I sensed that there was something there. And she called me and she said, you know what, I changed my mind. I don't want to go there. And changing her mind meant that she talked with her church girlfriends, and they convinced her how this was dealing with Satan and making a pact with the devil. And basically she said, the Bible and Lord Jesus are my guides, my saviors, and through them I can do everything. And I said, all right, like, no judgment, although your path has clearly not worked for you these last 10 years. Like, you're quite miserable, maybe even more than before, but okay. I said, all right, if that's the case, then please give the money that my sister gave you, give it back to her, because that money was for you to prepare for an ayahuasca ceremony. And since you're not going anymore, then you don't need it. And deep inside, I knew that she had no food in the fridge, that she was eating rice and beans, quite literally. I knew that she really needed this. I knew that she was in a point of poverty. And it didn't cost me much, but I felt that if it's still a maybe for her, she has not reached rock bottom. It needs to be coming deep from within the heart. And she gave my sister the money back. And I heard from family that she was raging. Like, how dare my son do this? They know I'm struggling. They're living the good life and they can't take care of their mother. She went deeper into her pain. 2 weeks later, she calls me and she says, this ayahuasca thing, I don't care if it's a deal with the devil. Tell me where I sign. I am tired. I'm not going to continue living like this. That's it. I am done. And that day I knew she's done for good. She touched rock bottom. She will not accept her life continuing the same way. Long story short, she went in one ceremony, she healed her fibromyalgia to a point that it was miraculous and unexplainable to the doctors she was working with. Although the moment that she said that her fibromyalgia stopped after a plant medicine ceremony, they all had a lot to say about how they were trying to deny and invalidate her experience. Then she went back to her church girlfriends, and now suddenly she was feeling alive. And she told me, like, I went, like, sure, I still have financial issues, there's still some things for me to figure out, but I wake up and I hear the birds singing, and I see the sun came up, and I look out in my garden, and I feel so grateful that I'm alive. And she said, I used to pray for God to take my life every night when I went to sleep. And now I cry and I pray that please, please, let me live one more day, because there's so much beauty that I have not been able to receive. And now I see it, and now I feel it. And I love life so much, I don't want to die. So, I'm sorry. This makes me emotional, because recently I was chatting with her, and she said, you know, son, I never thanked you for what you did that time, because I thought that I wanted for you to take care of me, for you to pay for my food. And I resented you so much when you asked your sister to take back the money you had given me. But now I can see that it is not what I needed. And you gave me a greater gift, which was the gift of getting my life back. The gift of allowing me to deal with just enough pain so that I will make a choice to change things, so that I will trust that something higher, something deeper was available, that my life too could change. And I have to thank you, because the pain that I experienced after that happened was a gift, the gift that made me accept your invitation. And these last 2-3 years of my life have been the best years of my life. I never thought I could be so happy, that I could feel so good and so in love with everything. She also got a job, her finances improved, she forgave my father, like all the relationships in our family healed in a beautiful way. They're good friends now. So many things happened. The woman that my dad had been unfaithful with, which was the reason why their marriage split up, out of nowhere, 15 years later after that, she messaged my mom and said, hey, I just thought about it, and it just dawned on me the amount of pain that you may have, or you must have gone through by me destroying your family. And I just wanted to say that I feel very, very, very sorry. I feel so ashamed that I did that back then. And I hope that one day you can forgive me, and I would love to take you out for a coffee and look at you in the eyes and apologize straight to you. A woman that before that had not said a word about my mom, and if anything, there was a lot of tension and apathy between them. Suddenly, out of nowhere, everything started coming back into alignment. The only thing that maybe broke apart was when she came to her church girlfriends and said how she had healed from fibromyalgia and how she was feeling so vibrant and in love with life. They said, oh, sister, preach Jesus, preach the Lord. Through him, all was possible. It's a miracle. And my mom said, yeah, like preach the Lord and Jesus. But it was ayahuasca, actually, that cured me. Right away, they kicked her out of the WhatsApp group chat. So, because they, like the doctors, they couldn't accept that their healing came in a shape that would question their blind faith and their blind beliefs and the way in which they were doing things. For them to admit that a plant has a spirit or an energy that can help you get your life in order when no amount of Bible reading could, it's something that for most fanatics is very unlikely to ever embrace or accept. Where I'm going with this is that my mom could still be a very miserable human being. She could have taken her life. She could have a big belly and a mind full of regrets and resentment and ugliness and bitterness and die like that, a miserable woman. Or she went through a little bit of hunger, a lot of pain for sure. But when it came from a conscious gesture, it was the greatest gift that I could give her. So I invite you to see in your life, where are you making people comfortable? Where are you sheltering them your loved ones from pain. Because sometimes we shelter the other from pain, not because of them, but because of our own discomfort by seeing them suffer. Sometimes the greatest thing you can do for someone is to allow them to experience the roughness and the rawness of life. Because if we love somebody, it is best to support them in becoming competent than to make them comfortable. Nothing wakes a person up faster than pain. Pain demands our attention. When it gets too intense, whether it is physical pain or emotional pain, you cannot work, you cannot eat, you cannot do anything but to pay attention and where did you cut yourself? What's happening inside of you, in your mind, in your heart? Pain is life shaking you, screaming at you when you have not heard its subtle whispers. So how will we dare rob that from somebody? Sometimes we think we're doing the right thing, but we're not. Sometimes with love, we must allow somebody else to be shaped and forged through the fires of pain so that they may discover what they're made of. Because if you look at your past, you will see that a lot of times and in a lot of situations, it was the pain that you lived through, the one that made you grow, the one that brought out the best in you, the one that has made you the person that you are, the challenges, the difficulties that you overcame. So do not take that away from somebody else. Doesn't mean that we should add to the suffering of somebody. It also doesn't mean that we shouldn't try to relieve the suffering in some cases, like just people starving. That's different from economic reasons, lack of equality, from corruption. There are things that we should do and it's our responsibility to do. But with the people that are close to you, discern, learn to pay attention and learn to know when is a good time to step in, to interfere, and when is a good time to step away and to let them marinate a little bit in the pain sauce. Because the best meals, the best things come from this place. When we are able to look at something that at one point was the source of suffering and we recognize that behind it was the source of grace. Thank you for watching this. I don't